Mindfulness Studies, and it's terrific to all be here together this morning. We're going to talk about this thing called mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, and in particular, neuroscience as it relates to mindfulness, and stress reduction, and our effectiveness as attorneys and human beings living in this world. So what I'd like to do is begin by giving you an overview of what we'll sort of do today together, and then get into it. First, as I mentioned, it's mindfulness, it's neuroscience, it's stress reduction, and it's our effectiveness. And we'll use mindfulness as sort of the hub that then explores the relationships of neuroscience, the study of the brain, really interesting, cutting-edge neuroscience findings that are illuminating a lot of what has been known from experience by practitioners of mindfulness for a very long time, but until recently hasn't been able to be really looked at deeply because we never were really able to look at this thing that mindfulness explores, which is the mind, the brain. And we'll talk in a moment about the mind and the brain. Are they the same? Are they different? And we'll look at how the research also speaks to stress reduction, our ability to tone down this overreactive agitation that can come upon us at times when it doesn't serve our best interest, doesn't feel good, and ultimately disserves our capacity to be really effective at what we do. Now, to do this, we'll use this approach called Jurasight. Jurasight was developed by the Institute for Mindfulness Studies to teach mindfulness to attorneys, to law students, to legal professionals, using the language of the law, to teach fundamental mindfulness principles and exercises for how to live life in this moment, in the moment of challenge. Now, I'm thrilled that we've got a wonderful panel of three outstanding and extraordinary people. Lynn Riskin, a professor of law at the University of Florida. George Knox, an outstanding attorney in Miami. And Judge Alan Gold, a really terrific federal district judge in the Southern District of Florida. And it'll be a panel demonstration that's not like your typical panel demonstration, because mindfulness is not your typical conversation point about the mind. In fact, it's often said that mindfulness is not what you think it is. Right? We're lawyers. We can do an awful lot of thinking, and oftentimes who's experienced those moments when the thinking gets in the way of our capacity to really be present for what's arising, somehow interferes with our wisdom, what we know to be the case, what we know to be the way to respond to a situation, yet somehow, whether we're practicing law, whether we're at home with our family, whether we're with friends, whatever the situation might be, something happens that gets in the way. And oftentimes it's what? An agitation, it's a judgment, it's a knowing what's really going on, second guessing, and being sure that we're right. Now, we'll do this today in a way that really weaves these approaches together, weaves these substantive areas together. So we'll look at neuroscience and we'll look at mindfulness as a discussion point, something we can talk about, but talking about it is not experiencing it. And so we'll also experience it, and we'll sort of have a dance of these things playing along side by side. So there'll be some exercises, there'll be some conversation, there'll be some insight into the neuroscience findings, and they'll sort of traipse through each other, because that's what life is. Life is not, we're grounded in this moment, maybe we sit and meditate, maybe that's our approach, maybe we have prayer or some contemplative practice that we do at this point in time, and then we get up and we go out into the world, and somehow they're distinct. No, they're all woven together, and the idea is that this life is a meditation, this life is a mindfulness practice, and how can we bring whatever this thing called mindfulness is, which we'll get to in a moment, into these moments of our life, so that the unfolding of our life is this really passionate journey, and not some in the mind, we wake up at the end of our life and look back and wonder, where did it all go?